Hello, my name is Ingio Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to listen to the newest episode of Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast where we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, who chronicle their journey through Brand Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we will be chronicling the end of Mistborn, the Final Empire, chapter 35 to the end. And now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Why, thank you, Joe. Yep, once again, we are here for Cosmere Chronicles. With me, Joe, and also me, Sheta, and me, Justin. How are the two of you doing today?
Me, Justin. Me, good.
I didn't like that. I was like, I'm Sheta, though. I don't like that.
You got confused about who's who, Sheta?
Yeah, I was scared.
Nope. The part of Justin and Sheta will be played by Joe this week.
Ugh.
Yeah, if we ever can't make it Joe, just play us. And see if the audience will notice.
Oh, that'll be fun. You gotta do, like, how we kind of talk about stuff, though.
Have you heard my voice acting? My voice acting is terrible.
That's why
What do you mean? You're voice acting now. Justin and Sheta don't exist. This is a one-man show.
No, that's not true. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go on. Okay. So let's just go right into asking you personal questions about weird shit that nobody really cares about.
Hey, I care.
Okay, we will start off by let's go to the realm of Nintendo.
Oh God.
Starting off, who is your go-to character to play as in Super Smash Brothers?
Well, if we're going by the newest Super Smash Brothers, it's going to be Banjo, because he's my boy. If you're going just Super Smash Brothers in general, I've always been a Link supporter.
I, early on, got really attached to Zelda. And now I'm kind of split because you could be Samus or Zelda.
Samus or Zelda? Or Sheik
Oh,
or
sorry.
Zelda, you mean?
Sheik or Zelda, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because Samus has been
I
in
thought
there
you
the
had
entire
some
time.
epic fan theory that I wasn't aware of all this time, should I?
Oh, sorry.
My go-to since the first one has always been Ness for some reason. I know he's a weird character to use, but I've been using him since Nintendo 64, so I'm pretty good at being able to perfectly get that thunder to get myself the boost.
What do you mean some reason? Ness is a baller, Joe.
He's also typically low tier.
Yeah, well, I ain't playing in no
Ju-
competitive tournament.
Just because that PK Thunder, it's so, if you don't know what you're doing, it's such an awkward way to jump. And I guess a secondary one, I also, mainly with the new DLC, would be Joker. Usually if I'm playing, I'll go to him right away too. Alright, and then, alright, next I guess I'll ask, who's your go-to character to use in Mario Party?
Daisy, of course.
I either pick Mario or Peach.
I used to always be Donkey Kong, but ever since they made him no longer playable, now I think I typically go with, I usually go Mario or Luigi.
Donkey Kong's no longer playable? I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I think he stopped being playable in, 6 or something like that, or 5.
He got too expensive.
They gave him a space instead.
Oh, bullshit.
But they've added stuff like you can play as a blooper in Dry Bones, but Donkey Kong, nope, nobody wants that. They want to play as blooper.
No way. Now,
It
Shy
might be
Guy, I'll
set-
take that, but...
Yeah.
All right, a quick little one we did, because kind of want to get right into these chapters. So first, let's quickly ask you guys, how'd you like the ending of this book?
I mean, it wrapped up everything. I didn't expect it to go as far as it did, so that was interesting. I mean, I've told you many times I expected it to end on a real downer, so...
Yeah, it ended a lot nicer than I thought, considering where it was headed. I'm a little sad, but that's okay.
What are you sad about?
I'll say later.
Okay, and because I like last week when you guys were saying it's like it's gonna end. Well, the rebellion's not gonna happen. That's there's no way that's gonna happen. No. That's what you said, and I think that now, Justin, your stuff with Elantris, that's in the past. Now Sheta has the right to gloat about correct predictions.
Sheta, you did fucking solid. I was real impressed. I mean, I really found it like a likely theory when you said it, but it was impressive to see it just, set out like that.
It was bizarre to hear
Since,
to be correct.
since 3 of the things that she said last week were all revealed this week. You don't realize, like, while you guys were talking at times, I had to mute my mic just to laugh because of she just said something that is completely correct, and Justin's just like, I don't know. I don't see that happening. That doesn't make sense.
I feel so vindicated. I'm so happy.
And if people at home, if you haven't read the books, you want to know what she was correct on, just keep on listening. You'll find out.
I cannot believe, Sheta, that Kelsier went back in time and became the Lord Ruler. I was shocked when I read that. My God.
Now people will be like, well, now I gotta see if that's true. Because that's stupid.
And then I guess we will go into our recap of last week's episode. I don't remember which of you did it last time because Nick did it last week. Who wants to do it?
Sheta wants to.
I think you want to, Justin.
No.
All right, we'll make Justin do it.
What? All right. Last time, Kelsier found his brother dead. That was last time, correct?
Yes.
Found him dead. It was horrifying. He got pissed off. He ran all the way to the Atrium Mines and fucked them the hell up. Lord Ruler got pissed, started killing shitloads of people. They found, I believe, Spook and Renew. I always forget how to say it. Renew. They couldn't leave him behind. Kelsier already wanted to run up. He was pissed off. They had a whole epic thing where they freed him, fought a bunch of dudes. Kelsier fucked the hell out of a Inquisitor, chopped his head right off. Lord Ruler finally stepped out, smacked Kelsier in the face after he declared he was hope that cannot die. And he tragically did die, and Vin was horrified, hearing in her mind the voice of her brother confirming that everyone will always leave her. And it was kind of a downer place to end. I forgot at least one major... Oh, and Elend came out yelling all like he could do anything, but he kind of did something, so that's something.
The thing he did was almost get killed by an Inquisitor.
Yeah, but he also gave Kelsier quite a good character moment.
Yeah, that was a nice part. He saved Ellen for Vin's sake.
Yep, that was good. We'll give you a point of inspiration.
Woohoo!
All right.
I'm going to use it immediately to make everyone remember that I did a better recap than I actually did.
You can't use it for that. It's just for one reroll. You can't change everyone's memories.
All right. Well, to the recap of this week. Pretty much it's going to be all of part 5 of the book. Part 5, which is called Believers in a Forgotten World. All right, starting with the epigraph. I know what will happen if I make the wrong choice. I must be strong. I must not take the power for myself, for I have seen what will happen if I do. So the chapter begins, and Vin is floating up in the mist by pushing off of some coins she has on the ground, and she's just thinking about Kelsier. She is both saddened and angry at him for dying and leaving her. And she compares it to how Reen had left her. But at least Reen had always told her that he would eventually betray her and leave. And then Sazed comes out to talk to Vin, and she floats down. And Vin is bitter about Kelsier and asks how Sazed could still have faith in him. And Sazed says that it's easy to believe in someone that always succeeds. But it is true faith if you still believe after failure. And he mentions that now he's going to have to go and talk to the skaa and get their stories on Kelsier because the way they're talking, it's pretty much like the start of a new religion.
I like that they've been laying the foundation for this Kelsier religion for quite a while.
Yeah. Should have known that it would end with him sacrificing himself.
Well, yeah, that's basically what I figured.
All right, so then next, Sazed mentions that the crew will each leave Luthadel and go their separate ways. And he himself will go back to Terrace and bring news of Lord Ruler's journal and about Rashik. So that way they know about it. And then Sazed then notices voices, and the two of them see skaa gathering the streets. And one of them is talking about how this is what the Lord of the Mist wants.
When they heard voices, it's like, what's that in the distance? I thought it was going to be like Who's of Whoville. Like singing their song on Christmas morning.
Well, I mean, basically,
yeah,
same kind of thing.
I don't know why I was having deja vu moment with that too. That was what it was. Really magical.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Justin?
Oh, just how quick this all started up. Because, I figured stuff was going to happen, but to just have a conversation like, oh shit, there's a rebellion happening immediately was quite fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured things had to go. Either this was all going to be depressing falling action for the last part, or things were going to get crazy fast, and I'm glad the crazy fast way.
Yep, so then the rest of the crew come up onto the roof and they watch what is happening. And the skaa are gathering down the streets, and one of the skaa is saying that Kelsier isn't truly dead, and that he had appeared before him that night. At first, the crew just brush it off as a small group, and they notice torches getting together in multiple parts of the city. And then Dox is able to put together that this was Kelsier's true plan. To find something for the skaa to rally around. And Sazed says that Kelsier always asked him what it was that gave religion so much power. And Sazed had told Kelsier that it was the religion gave them something to be passionate about. And that's something where, I remember last week you guys were talking, and it's just like, one of you was saying that, oh yeah, I think they'll use this, he'll be like a martyr, and another of you was saying, I don't know, they might just lose all hope when he dies. And I had to hold my tongue so hard.
I thought he was, I thought he was going to be a martyr,
so
for sure.
Yeah, I had to hold my tongue so hard to not be like, well, don't forget the conversation that Kelsier had with Sazed earlier. He asked, how do these people find the way to fight? Yep. Oh, they had hope. It's like pretty much that line just from earlier in the book told you exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah, it's one of the only way. You need that mixture of hope and like injustice and rage and also hopelessness if you don't latch onto this like all at the same time, I think, for a revolution to kick up. Otherwise, if everyone's more afraid than they are pissed off and feeling injustice, they're not going to do anything.
Next, Vin has Dox lead them to the warehouse that Kelsier had his informant meeting. Inside it, they find all sorts of weapons and armor, and they figure out that this is here to arm the skaa when they rise up. Ham questions if the army was just a front then, and they never really needed it, but then Renew suddenly shows up and explains that it wasn't. The army was supposed to be the core of the rebellion before that whole plan went south. And Ham realizes that Kelsier had to give the skaa a new god in order for them to rebel against the Lord Ruler.
Mm-hmm. I liked it being put that way, and I also liked them saying that this wasn't some whole thing where their failures were taken into account. Like, things did fuck up. They weren't exactly how they were meant to go. It makes it feel more realistic, which I enjoy. But It's pretty ballsy to, let yourself die in the hopes of everyone acting how you would hope they would act.
Yeah, I think this is like when Kelsier and Vin almost get killed, and I think he had to really rethink what he had to do going forward. And then from then on, Vin says that he kind of changed. I think that's when he finally realized he had to do that.
Yeah, but it sounded to me like he'd had a plan for... Like, he'd had this plan for quite a while before that happened, I think, unless I'm remembering wrong.
Well,
because when he said, secrets and secrets, wasn't that before that, or was that after?
That was after. Because that was when he was talking to Ham.
Also, I don't think that Kelsier's plan was always to die. I think that his plan was if he couldn't kill the Lord Ruler, then if he died, he would still give people something to rally around.
Oh, he died fighting the ruler, right? Yeah. Either he dies fighting him or he beats him, right?
Yeah. Because I don't think he just planned to always die, but he knew that was a real possibility.
It makes you wonder if during the battle he tried to use the metal and was like, oh, fuck this, and then just knew how things were going to go.
Then he does his speech. And he's like, yep, that's it.
I'd imagine from his perspective it very well may have been that way.
So then, next in the scene, Renew steps out of the shadows, and he looks just like Kelsier. And then it gets explained that, Renew's a Khandra, which we already knew, and Khandras are like a grown-up mist wraith. They can digest the dead and use their bones to copy their image. And he has been appearing before the skaa as Kelsier this night, because it was the mission that Kelsier had given.
Oh, I can't believe this part.
So chalk that up to Sheta said that last week, that Renew would use Kelsier's body to pretend to be Kelsier before people to go along with the plan.
Yep.
I didn't think this would be happening immediately. I thought this would be happening much later. was
Well,
so
when they were
creepy.
saying he appeared to me, I didn't believe the guy, so I kind of figured it would be something like this. Or that guy was just bullshitting, which could happen too. I would have liked
Oh
to
yeah.
see that, though, personally, you know.
What's that?
I would have liked to see him appearing before people, you know.
That would have been a cop out for me. I had a theory that the Khandra was that guy who was just saying shit like that. Who was just saying, "Yo, yeah, I totally saw Kelsier." Like he was
Why would
just
you need
one of the.
100 to do that? Anyone could do that, right?
Yeah, but he would just be he'd just eat a random skaa, like a dead skaa person, and like just be them and try to hype them up. I thought that was the plan, and I thought that could have been the plan too.
Yeah.
To have some kind of new rebel leader pop up. That's what I was.
Hmm.
But no, it made more sense for him to actually just be Kelsier and let them do it themselves.
All right, and then the Renew Kelsier, he explains to the crew that I'm preparing the crew for this rebellion, and that's why he's been having them appear before the army and the skaa. Dox, Breeze, and Ham are to be a bureaucrat, a politician, and a general in the new nation that will be born. And then Renew Kelsier gives them a letter, and he leaves because he has more work to do. And he also gives Vin a pouch. And so the letter has a map of the city that had been copied from Marsh's map he had given them before. And there's a note from Kelsier that says that they are to distribute the weapons to the rising up skaa. And Breeze will lead a team against the remaining garrison, and Ham will lead a team against the leftover noble armies. While Doxon will distribute the weapons, and eventually, they'll have to go to the palace and they'll have clubs lead a group again.
I like this little. Oh, sorry. This little take over the empire kit that he leaves them.
Yeah, that was really fun to see.
And then the soothing station should already be destroyed because Kelsier had told them if this all goes down, then to have Renew Kelsier give the order to different groups to destroy those soothing stations. So that's another reason why the skaa are able to much more easily rise up right now. All right, and then Vin decides to look inside the pouch, and inside it contains 8 along with the 11th medal. And there's also a note in there and the picture of Mare's flower.
Oh, the picture. I teared up when I saw a little piece of paper. And it's like, oh my gosh. Because Ben's like, what's my mission? And it's the paper. Just like the dream. Like the symbol for the dream. So I was like, oh, cute.
And then, Ben reads the note, and, and Kelsier says that he had originally planned for her to assassinate the high nobleman, but she has convinced him to change his mind. And he says that he has tried using the 11th medal, but doesn't seem to do anything. And if she is reading this, that means he never figured out how to use it against the Lord Ruler. And like that right there, that's the line that tells me that his plan wasn't just to die, that if he could have lived, he would have preferred it.
Well, yeah.
Can you imagine how freaking dark it would have been if Vin was like, okay, Vin, go kill all these nobles. Like,
and she would have done it before she went to the parties too, It would have been a very different situation if she hadn't gotten to know them so well,
Yeah. This will be like Anakin killing all the Jedi and those, like, just wiping out the temple and stuff.
You do gotta think, not all of the nobles are adults, so.
Alright, and then the note also says that the others will need her because she is their Mistborn now. And then Kelsier says that he will tell Mare about her and that she had always wanted a daughter.
Oh, so cute.
When he said in the letter that he would tell Mare about her, that's when I was like, okay, any of my hopes of him having any kind of thing to come back, that's out. Even though it was obviously that way already. That just killed it completely.
Yeah, final nail.
Yeah, final nail, yep.
Mm-hmm. All that stuff, I hated that scene. My hopes were dashed.
And the crew scatters to go do their missions. And Sazed tells Vin that sometimes they just need to wait long enough to see why they kept believing. And then Vin realizes that neither she nor Sazed had been given a job. Then Vin begins grabbing some supplies and she swallows her medals, including the 11th medal. She knows that even with thousands of people fighting on their side, they cannot defeat the Lord Ruler. So she is going to go to Kredik Shaw and head to the chamber that Kelsier has tried to get into twice, and she will find out what's inside. And that's the end of the chapter.
Moved very fast here. Very exciting.
Yep, just a one chapter difference from end of 34. Everything just seems hopeless. This one, it already it just feels like there is some hope.
Hope returns are some of my favorite moments in stories, so that's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's nice.
However, I don't know if I felt that hopeful about this rebellion, honestly.
Yeah, I'm like, sure, that's a good plan, but
I thought kind of like how Vin
I
thinks
don't
a
know.
little bit.
Yeah.
Anything else about chapter 35 you two want to go over?
Mm. Oh, I like the description of the Renew Kelsier, how dead he was, how dead his eyes were. Like, he wasn't actually like Kelsier. He didn't have his
Mhm.
smile and stuff like that. It sounded really creepy and but interesting. That was fun.
All right, so on to chapter 36. Epigraph. I've decided that I'm thankful for Rashik's hatred. It does me well to remember that there are those who abhor me. My place is not to seek popularity or love. My place is to ensure mankind's survival. All
Now
right,
I
so
After
don't. I feel.
reading these with what's revealed, it's very interesting to think about them in a different context than what you were encouraged to think of them as. Very, very interesting.
Mhm. Now I feel bad.
We're making fun of the guy so much.
Yeah, he wasn't a paranoid after all. He was just actually just a nice, normal guy, I think.
what's fun is like if you ever want to, just spend like 5 minutes, just go back and reread all of them from like all the chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you get the whole like little story.
Yeah,
All
I'd
right.
like to read it like a journal. That would be cool.
So chapter 36 begins with Vin is walking up to Kredik Shaw, and there are 4 skaa guards in front of it. And then she just tells them that she understands why they chose this, but that there is now a skaa rebellion that could use their knowledge. So then the 4 guards wind up leaving their post. Then Vin walks casually through the palace past other guards. And then when they notice her, that's when she pushes off stuff and quickly moves through the palace.
Even though I agree that she has to do this, you don't know how pissed off I was at her when I was reading this. Because I'm like, why do you think this is going to go any frickin' differently than the other 40 times you guys have tried doing this?
Oh, going back to the castle?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't think she had a plan?
She doesn't have a plan.
She did have a plan, kinda.
She doesn't have any more of a plan than they ever had about this kind of stuff.
I think that she kind of just was like being ballsy, like Kelsier would.
Yeah, I
keep-
think she's right in her thinking that we don't have a choice. We have to do this. But for Kelsier's sake, who I'm like, the last thing he wants is for her to die doing this dumb shit that everyone keeps dying doing, you know? I was mad for his sake, you know? Think how mad you'd be if you like, yep, Mare died doing this, I almost died doing this, I almost killed Vin doing this. Well, luckily we're not doing that anymore, and I've sacrificed myself so everyone can... Vin, what the fuck are you doing? God damn it! I don't know, he's a weirdo. Maybe he'd feel a little sense of, like, a little pride.
Well,
I'm really
He
related
did-
to Vin.
Yeah.
he did give her the 11th medal, so he still planned to have her try to kill the Lord Ruler.
Yeah, but this was the same thing everyone keeps doing.
I told you she kind of has a plan.
Kinda has a
And-
plan.
Also, she is stronger than everyone, you know? And
Yeah,
also,
that
I
is
think
true.
the feeling is like, I'm it. I'm who everyone's relying on. I'm the hero now. You know, I'm their Mistborn. I have to
I
do
personally
something.
don't disagree with you at all. I just think that, as from Kelsier's perspective, if he was looking down, he'd just face palmed. God damn it.
All right, so Vin winds up. She arrives at the big room with the chamber in it, and there are 2 Inquisitors outside the chamber. And she takes an arrow and she pushes one at, she puts an arrow at them, and he pushes back in the arrow. But what she had is she just had like a little non-metal arrowhead with a couple metal rings on it. So when he pushes the metal rings, they just fly off the end of it, and the arrow just keeps going.
Yeah, the only good
So
difference here is that they expect somebody to be here.
Yeah. So then the one Inquisitor gets hit with arrows in the head, and he goes to the ground. And then to the other one, as she's trying to run past him, she just grabs some powder out of her hand and just throws it up in him, and it just confuses him. Because she figures that, they don't have eyeballs, so they're probably just seeing like metal lines from using their metals. So when you just have powder, it's just blinds him. So then
Yeah, Justin, this is
Steel
what I'm
pushes.
talking about with her
In
and
what?
her new skills. New
Yeah.
skills, and she's more prepared
No,
and clever.
because she may think that, but Kelsier was incredibly skilled too, and he was not able to do this either.
She's more skilled than Kelsey.
She's not more skilled than him, but she is more powerful than him. That's how I interpret it, at least.
She's a little bit more strategic.
Yeah, she's clever.
She is clever. That is true.
Like every time they're like, you were able to take down a full-grown Mistborn. Like she took down Shand without much training.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of
Yeah,
thing.
no.
And so the Inquisitor, he pushes at all the metal powder just to move it out of the way. And while he's doing that, Vin throws a glass dagger at him, and it goes into his leg, and he goes down. So then Vin's able to go past him. She runs inside the chamber, and inside it is furnished with trappings and fur with a hearth in the middle of it. It's kind of like a study. And inside, there's an old man around his 70s sitting in a chair, and he's upset by her intrusion.
I'm gonna say during not last chapter, but during this chapter, this is exactly what I expected to be in here, but a little differently than how they explain it. But I thought that yes, the true form of the Lord Ruler would be hidden in here when she started rushing towards it.
Oh yeah, me too. With like Darth Vader's chamber where he's resting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, and so then the Inquisitor that had the dagger go into the leg comes in, and he apologizes to the old man, calling him the Lord Ruler. Then Vin does to burn the 11th metal, and then she winds up seeing a second version of the old man standing near him, wearing thick woolen clothes and a fur-lined cloak with long beard. And also next to her by the Inquisitor, she sees a man in like a noble suit standing near the Inquisitor. And then the Lord Ruler says to kill the girl, but the Inquisitor says that they want her for a reason, and they wish to petition the Lord Ruler. So then the Inquisitor knocks out Vin.
Man, I was so engaged with this stuff, I didn't even realize the nobleman suit thing. That's really interesting. That just I completely did not even catch that. I think I was just thinking too much about what I was seeing. But it's really interesting because at this point we know nothing about where these guys come from.
Oh, the Inquisitor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was weird to see.
Yeah, that's cool. It's really cool.
All right, and so then we switch POVs and we go over to Elend. And Elend is surprised to see that his father is preparing to leave the city. And Straff says that there is a skaa rebellion, so they are leaving. And he also says that something had happened at the Pits of Hathsin, so he doesn't really want to stay in the city. Elend says that he doesn't want to leave, so Straff allows him to stay, likely believing that Elend is going to die.
He's a bad man. Oh, I don't like him.
I don't think you're supposed to. He hasn't had like one positive thing said about him in this entire book.
I just can't believe he's so bad. Like,
it's so interesting because he's pissed at first, and it's because he was disobeyed. Then when he realizes that that his son isn't snarking him, then he's like, "Yeah, do it, you dumb fuck."
Like, you know what? That's actually a great idea. Like,
yeah. Now that it's his idea in his head that he will benefit from, yeah, that made him extra unlikable, I thought.
Mm-hmm. He's creepy. Tried to have him killed like a couple times. Ooh, I wonder what he's gonna be like when he finds out that his son is now raped. Never mind. I'll save it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to, Sheta.
Okay, yes, sorry. I almost said it, but continue.
His son is now on the execution block by the Lord Ruler's decree for his many crimes. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Alright, so then Elend goes to his guards and tells them that they will go to Keep Lical and have the two houses join their forces. Otherwise, they will be overrun by the skaa. And he also wants 5 of his best men to come with him because he is going to turn himself in. So then we jump back over to Vin, she wakes up and she's stripped to her undergarments, and then an Inquisitor forces her to swallow and then burn an unknown metal. When she burns the metal, all of her metal reserves in her body vanish. And the Inquisitor leaves, and Vin wonders about what has happened. What was that metal that she had just burned? Was it a 12th metal? And then she thinks about what did the 11th metal show her. It was similar to when she burned gold, but instead it showed her what other people could have become. And then she does the math in her head about how all the metals are and how they tie together. She realizes that the 11th metal ties together with gold, so there must be another metal out there that they don't know about. An Inquisitor comes to grab Vin, and it's the one that had been hit with the arrowheads. But he has healed much too quickly than he really should have with the wounds he had got. And like she had thought the same thing about the one who had been hit in the leg with the knife, is that even if he had burned pewter, he was getting up much too quick. And then she is brought to a chamber where the Lord Ruler, once again young, is sitting, in a throne on a dais that's in the middle of the room. There are also a bunch of obligators here, including the Lord Prelin, Tavidian, who, if you don't remember, that's Vin's father.
Dun-dun-dun.
And then he is trying to tell the Lord Ruler they need something about the rebellion. But the Lord Ruler brushes off, saying the nobles need to be purged every century or two. And if the rebellion comes to the palace, then he will just deal with them.
That was fucking horrifying. That level of casualness about this entire rebellion out there was incredibly horrifying to me.
Yeah. I like him just like, he's so chill about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's interesting that the obligator's like freaking out, but he's not. So, like, It shows the actual ranks of everybody.
Yeah.
And then the Inquisitor that has Vin asks the Lord Ruler to give control of the ministry over to the Inquisitors, because the men have allowed corruption and vice to enter. Tavidian calls the Inquisitor Carr and says that he doesn't have any proof of that. So then Carr asks Vin who her father is. Vin says she doesn't know, but this piques the Lord Ruler's interest. He walks down to her and soothes her so much, and eventually she breaks and says that her father is Tavidian. And then the Lord Ruler questions Tavidian, and eventually he admits that maybe one skaa he slept with, he didn't kill. So the Lord Ruler has the Inquisitors kill Tavidian, and says that he will give the ministry over to the Inquisitors.
Another interesting thing here, because we don't really know yet, until here, like, all these rules about how they can rape as long as they kill him, is that from the bureaucracy? We don't know who's, like, in charge of that. When the Lord Ruler says, did you take care of it? Showing that that's his official rule, that was really horrifying. That made him extra evil to me, because he's not just somebody who's ruling and there's too much to rule, so people kind of do whatever. This is the rule he made, this horrible, horrible thing, That made him, like, more unlikable to me than he ever has been yet, Because I'm like, oh, he's not just powerful and in charge. He's literally a piece of garbage,
And then the Lord Ruler says the child will be destroyed. But then Carr says that first he has some questions for her about a team of Mistines she was a part of and where to find them. So Lord Ruler's like, yep, go ahead, you can question her. And that's the end of the chapter.
It's also weird how little he really cares about stuff like that, But
It
yeah, go
seems
ahead,
very,
whatever.
Yeah, and they're
Like,
so
this is-
happy, like, we got it. Like, we've been, like, slowly trying to discredit the obligators all this time, and we finally got power. And he could care less. Like,
Yeah. This is just a Tuesday for him, right?
yeah, like, this seems like the squabbling of, like, ants.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how all this stuff, it's like, we got like one little note from Marsh being like, yeah, there's a power struggle between the Inquisitors and the Obligators. But pretty much there's been this whole book happening in the background that we do not know about until now.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, yeah.
All right, anything else about this chapter you two want to go over?
Just that it was funny to me that Vin rushes in her badass hero moment and everything goes exactly as it realistically should go. Instead of her getting to superhero her way through it all badass. Captured, beaten up, and just a pawn in other people's things. It was also nice to see why they were hunting her down so much, Because before I was like, is there something special about her? It's funny that, no, not really. It's just who her father was.
Yeah, I'm glad to finally see that revealed too. Or, like, that, yep, this is why. Something very realistic and not that much to do with her being special or anything.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of dumb. Oh, I'm glad it
For
was
being
this.
special. Well, I still think
Yeah.
she's special, but not to the plot right now, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
yeah.
nobody's like, oh, she's the chosen one or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. No chosen one thing in the first book, at least. We can save that for later.
uh-huh. Too much of a Mary Sue already.
How's she a Mary Sue?
Because she's so badass. That's what she's saying.
She's so
And if she
strong.
was also the chosen one, that would push it over the top.
Everyone loves her. You know, the basics.
But she has crippling self-doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Have
if
you
only
read Twilight, Joe?
Yeah, Joe. She's just super
She's
relatable.
not saying she
Joe.
is a Mary Sue. She's saying that could have gone that direction had it been a bad author. Correct, Sheta?
I am not
And-
saying that about Vin.
And also, no, I have not read Twilight.
Well,
Oh
there
yeah,
you go.
that's our next podcast. So don't read
No.
it yet, Joe, until we do the podcast.
I don't know.
It's a quick read. We'll discuss it later. Go on.
All right. We will go on. Chapter 7. Is there any more beautiful than the sun? I often watch it rise. My restless sleep usually awakens me before dawn. Each time I see its calm yellow light peeking above the horizon, I grow a little more determined, a little more hopeful. In a way, it is a thing that has kept me going all this time.
Sounds like somebody's foreshadowing a little bit.
So you get a little bit talking about the yellow light of the sun, when from everything we've heard, the sun's red.
Yep. Nope. That was very interesting.
What is it?
What'd you say?
What is it? What's the foreshadow?
Just go on.
All right, so we start off, and I believe we start off in Dox's head. And Dox is organizing and leading Kelsier's plan. And then a palace guard named Goradel shows up and informs Dox that he had seen Vin taken by the Inquisitors, that she hasn't left the palace. And he wants to save her, but he knows that he will need all their troops to attack the palace. Then Hammer tells Dox that House Ilariel has fallen. And then Ellen is brought in as a prisoner. Dox doesn't want to have to deal with Ellen, but Ellen tells them to leave the noble houses alone. They will likely just hold up in their keeps. Ellen can help lead the nobles, but Dox will need to keep the nobles around. Otherwise, the rebellion will wind up turning on themselves once the nobles are done. Dox reluctantly agrees. Ellen recognizes Ham and realizes that they must know Valette and asks where she is. And Dox says that she went into Kredik Shaw and is likely in a dungeon.
This part made me like Ellen quite a bit in the fact that I've read about how such things go, you know, and he was able to use his reading and philosophy skills for something useful instead of just, you know, so far it hasn't been useful, but in this kind of situation, a student of history and philosophy for planning how people are going to react, I was like, thank God he finally gets to use that in a positive way.
Yeah. It's Ellen's time to shine. I may not be able to flip around in the air, but
Yep.
I read stuff.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so then we go back over to Vin. And Carr tosses Vin back into her cell, and he says that she has helped them do something that they had wanted for a long time. And he also tells her that they had captured Reen years ago, and that he had told them that Vin died of starvation. And Reen never broke before he died.
That was crazy to learn, because I've always suspected that, you know, she thought people act like Reen didn't care for her, but he obviously did. But this is a whole step further than I ever would have guessed for how he was going to be.
He's a good brother after all. I'm so happy.
Well,
What?
good brother for his philosophy and the situation they found themselves in. That's how I'd say it.
He did what he could to help his sister.
Yeah,
this
for that
terrible
lifestyle, which is very different than, you know, our lifestyles here in a nice, comfortable world. From his perspective, yes, that's how I would say it.
Yeah, because he did still beat her all the time.
Yeah,
but he didn't give her away.
And she was gonna get beaten no matter what, you know. That's what's interesting. It's a
Yeah,
violent life they live, you know. I'm gonna guess he
Mhm.
had a lot of problems himself, and he was just trying to, you know.
Just think of what he had to learn. Who beat him, and who
Exactly.
what happened to him? You know.
That's why it's so interesting. It's very sad, but it's very interesting to think about.
Well, what it is that because Reen knew that they were being followed by Inquisitors. So that's why they were always moving from place to place all the time, because he was trying to stay one step ahead of them.
I see.
Well, yeah,
that makes
too.
sense.
But also that lifestyle keeps you safe from a lot of different dangers.
Mm-hmm.
And he never told her about that, which is, you know, kind of shielding her too. I'm very surprised by this, is what I'm saying. I didn't expect it to be like this.
I'm sad that we won't ever meet him, though.
You never know.
He said he died.
Anything can happen. It's a magic book.
I have a theory now.
Oh God!
What's this?
Don't push your luck, Sheta. Don't push your
Yeah,
luck.
I am the master of theories now, Dustin. You can't speak to me that way anymore.
I guess you're right.
All right. So then Carr tells her that they won't make the same mistake, as they did before, as a naked Sazed is brought into the room. And Carr says that they will torture Sazed and force Vin to watch. And then Carr leaves. And after they leave, Vin blames herself for Sazed getting caught, but he says that he wants to get caught so that he could be brought to her. Next, Sazed shrinks in size for a few moments and then grows very large and breaks his binds. He had swallowed some of his metal mines before he came here, so he's able to, tap into them while they're here. And Sazed uses his strength to break the bars of the cage, and then as they leave, they get into another room, and they wind up facing a dozen guards, while Sazed's power, winds up running out. He tells Vin to run, but she, because she's been writing all book, and then she finally listens to what Kelsier had done when he went to go save Spook, and she refuses to leave and to go back to save her friend. And they fight against the guards, but neither of them have power. So as Vin is coming close to a defeat, Elend winds up rushing in, along with 4 of his guards and Borodel.
Man, Elend has a knack for rushing in at the most, exciting of moments, that he just appears suddenly. Whenever Vin seems to be in the most danger.
And who should appear? He comes in heroically.
Well, heroically is one word for it. Suicidally is another, I think.
He tends to rush in, and it's not so much that he does the stuff to help, it's more his distraction causes her to causes the help,
quite
because
endearing.
Because he usually rushes in and then is immediately in over his head. Ellen rushes in, and then Sazed gets Vin to leave, but she can tell that Ellen cannot win this fight. And then Vin sees a tassel sticking out of a chest nearby. She opens it and finds her clothes along with her mist cloak inside. She takes a vial out of the cloak and swallows it. She's able to use her and she very easily dispatches of all the guards. So Vin is elated to see that Elend has come. Nobody has ever come back before. But Elend is a bit distracted by Vin's lack of clothing. Elend wants Vin to stay, but she says that she has another task, and she looks up to where the Lord Ruler is. And she also put on her clothes at this point. And then Elend tries to tell her that it is impossible to go up against the Lord Ruler. So Vin just kind of kisses him to shut him up. And she asks him where the Lord Ruler kept the ATM and that he needs to secure it. They will need that in the days to come to keep from being conquered by the first nobleman that shows up with an army. And so then next, Vin asks Sazed if he will stop her, but he says that he won't. The Lord Ruler must be stopped. He will come help her once he sees Ellen to safety. And Vin tells Ellen not to worry because she thinks she knows how to kill the Lord. And that's the end of the chapter.
It's so funny to hear described Elend with his dueling cane trying his best. But he knocked one guy with it. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
I think we got it.
Just now,
there was...
Vin goes from rushing in on a suicide mission to rushing in on a suicide mission again.
The life of a Mistborn is pretty wild. I thought it was really cool that right when she got into safety, she just was like, all right, I'm back. I'm going back in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and of course, I just loved getting to see buff Sazed quite a bit here.
Oh, I know. I imagine he just inflates. And he's naked the whole time. So, who is going to... that part will be really fun.
Oh, yeah, it's not just... We got to see he's fully been... it was just a scar and nothing, right? That shocked me. I didn't expect that. Yeah. My God.
I thought that as my prediction as well, that he's as smooth as a Ken doll.
That is... He's not. He has a scar. That's not smooth as a Ken doll. That's...
Okay,
that's about as unsmooth as you can get.
I'm just saying, though, there was nothing down there. Then, never mind. That's
I think Ken dolls technically are wearing underwear because they have little perforations around there to make it look like underwear.
No, I don't think they did. I remember the Barbies did for a bit, but I don't think the Ken dolls ever did. Did they, Sheta?
Nope, it's just smooth. The
ones I've seen, it was just kind of a bulge thing, a little bit, barely anything.
The ones I remember my sisters had, it had underwear because it had little thing at the band and little thing, two things it was.
Some versions might have had that, but yeah.
Yeah.
This would be
The
Ken
ones my
dolls from
sister.
the 90s.
Yeah, the ones my sister had didn't have anything. I recall because they looked so funny without clothes on.
Yeah, those are the ones I had too. I know from personal experience,
Sounds like we all do.
but I actually had one. I might be revealing myself too much if
Oh
I.
God.
Yeah,
Wait, you
I
might
know what Ken's dolls look like naked for sure.
You're saying you might
You
be
looked
revealing.
closer than anyone, is what you're saying, Sheta.
Yeah.
So you're saying you might be revealing for yourself by telling everyone you're an American girl that had Barbie and Ken dolls growing up.
Yeah, sure.
That's a very unique. No, nobody else can say that.
Yeah, I think every girl did the same thing, Sheta. I think that's half the appeal of those dolls.
Well, good to know.
We will move on to chapter 38.
Oh wait, Joe, you gotta say in. Email us. What did yours have under the clothes? That's the important question here.
I said at my sisters they had like the little drawings on it. to make it
No,
look
you've
like
got to
it's
get
underwear.
you got to get the fans to write in and let us know so we can get this solved once and for all. That's what they're here for.
All right, yep. People out there, if you had Ken dolls, let us know. Did they have underwear like etched onto their plastic groin or not? Okay. You know what? Now we'll go on to chapter 38.
Also, you have to say the final chapter in the final empire.
Well, I mean, it's not really.
It is.
Uh,
It's Mistborn, the final empire.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, you've got an epilogue too.
Epilogues don't count, Justin.
All
I said
right,
final
I'm sorry.
chapter.
Jeez, everyone team up
Jeez.
on me.
Only when you're very wrong.
I guess so. I apologize.
Yeah, so we'll go on to chapter 38, the final chapter of the Final Empire.
Woo!
Such are my fears as I scribble with an ice-crusted pen on the eve before the world is reborn. Rashik watches, hating me. The cavern lies above, pulsing. My fingers quiver, not from the cold. Tomorrow it will end. And I think that one we might have actually have read before. I think that might have been
really?
the end of the might have been the end of the journal that Vin read, and it gets to that, and she's like,
Yep.
"What the hell, says it? Where's the rest?"
Yes, that is
That's interesting.
the passage.
Yeah, because
I didn't
the
catch
epigraph
that.
the epigraph that's in the epilogue is technically not the very last of the journal, because this is the last of the journal. The epilogue one would takes place, I think, right before. All right, so the chapter begins, and Vin's flying through the air above Kredik Shaw, and she sees all the torches from the Skaa rebellion. She spots the Lord Ruler's throne room, and she believes the 11th metal is the key, and she has one idea. And then we jump into a new POV. We jump into the head of Carr, the
That
Inquisitor.
shocked the fuck out of me. Carr, of all characters. I didn't even know his fucking name. I didn't know. I was just, yeah.
What? We learned his name a couple chapters ago.
Yeah, I'm sure we
Senior
did.
podcast.
I didn't remember it. I can barely remember our main cast's name. How am I going to know Carr?
I mean, I don't remember what it was, but he also gave the name of the Inquisitor that had been chasing Vin as well.
Yeah.
Buster.
Yeah. Was that it? Buster?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It started with a B.
Yeah, Buster. Sorry,
Well, I
Joe.
don't have it on me, so I just have to believe you, Sheta.
I don't know where it came from. The depths of my memories.
Well, now I need to know. Bendel.
That was pretty close.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back to Carr, and he's being raised to the head of the ministry. There has been a plan being built up over the last 2 centuries, and now the Inquisitors will no longer bow to inferior men. And there are obligators there to witness it, and they are dumbfounded as to see this happen. And then the obligators and the other Inquisitors leave the room. As the Lord Ruler is talking to Carr, a bunch of coins blast through the glass, followed by Vin. And once she gets in there, she rushes directly at the Lord Ruler.
This is reminded me a bit of Kyros rushing at Doflamingo.
Oh man, that's one of my
Just
favorite
right past
episodes.
everybody. Just like, raw.
That's one of my favorite. Especially, I just love that whole scene. Just you get the shot of Riku, Viola, and Rebecca all of a sudden just remembering Kyros. Then he shows up and then immediately just jumps in there, pretty much continuing where he left off from 10 years ago, and then cuts off Doflamingo's head.
See if it goes as well for Vin.
go to Vin, and she burns the 11th metal, and she rushes at the second Lord Ruler. So not the main one, but the other one that appeared. And she stabs that one in the heart, but her hand just goes completely through it. So then Vin stabs it a couple more times, but it is as if the second body isn't even there. And the Lord calls for the other Inquisitors to come in, and then Carr tackles Vin and begins to strangle her. And then
It was
the Lord
sad because that went about as it would logically go. It would have been so narratively stupid if that's all it was. He would just be like, that was a dumb ending, Jesus. So it was really sad for Vin to have that like realistic end goal to her. Not stupid, good plan, like good last shot plan be what happened. It was very sad.
Or Hail Mary.
Yeah, her Hail Mary, there you go.
Mm.
Yep. They're told all book, the 11th metal, that's what you use to defeat the Lord Ruler. That's what that will kill him. So it made sense for her. It makes a second version. You stab the second version, it kills him.
I was like, that's a really good idea.
But story-wise, that would have been a horribly bad ending. That would have been so stupid.
Yeah, it would have kind of been jip.
All right, and then the Lord Ruler watches in amusement as Carr strangles Vin. And then another Inquisitor comes into the room and walks up to Carr. And then the second Inquisitor rips a spike out of Carr's back, and Carr dies.
I thought Carr was going to continue to be a big, like, mini boss for a while.
Well, I think that's why they gave him a POV, because it was incredibly... You just did not expect that to happen because he had a POV, you know? You thought, this guy's going to be around for a while. That was quite a good trick, you know? You're like, okay, so the second book is going to be them taking over, is what I'm thinking, and he's going to be a big bad going forward. Oh, no, he's dead? Okay, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. So I'm always impressed with that.
Yeah, good one.
And then this second Inquisitor then runs at the Lord Ruler. And Vin's able to see his face, and she's able to tell the second Inquisitor is Marsh.
Dun-dun-dun!
So another of Sheta's theories that she called last week, that Marsh was not dead.
Wait, did you say Marsh was going to be an Inquisitor, Sheta?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's actually impressive, because there's like no evidence for that. I am impressed, Sheta.
It's like, why would they waste all this time just to kill him? Like, it was pretty impactful, but
because it made perfect sense to kill him, to get Kelsier where the writer wanted him to be.
Yeah, but just that didn't seem like enough.
No, I thought the exact opposite. I thought, why is Marsh not more fleshed out, was my thought. And then I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. It's because he's just a MacGuffin to get this stuff to happen. So, or not a MacGuffin, whatever the term is for that, you know. So that's impressive shit. I mean, it's not like the evidence isn't there, but it isn't at the same time, so.
Yeah, I think, what had been said last week is, when he was dead, she was like, I thought is, I don't want to, I think the exact thing she's like, I don't want to say it because I think people will just think it's crazy or something. Like, she threw a lot of doubt before he said it, and she's like, what if Marsh was actually turned into an Inquisitor just to mess with Kelsier? And Justin's just like, I don't see why they would turn him into Inquisitor. That makes no sense. I don't see how.
I did think that, and I even have thoughts about that now. So go on.
All right. So then, the Lord Ruler once again calls for the other Inquisitors, but he sees a pile of spikes just sitting in the doorway. Then Marsh gets to the Lord Ruler, rips open like the back of his coat or something, and goes for the spike there. But there is no spike. And then the Lord Ruler knocks out Marsh and throws him across the room.
Another good idea, but no go. I can't believe that. Every time they do it, like that's it. That's gonna be the. Oh no, it's not.
Oh, that would have been an even worse ending. To have Marsh just come out of nowhere and end the book for Vin. That would have been. I would have actually thought this book sucks in retrospect. If that happened, I would have been pissed. I liked seeing him try it. I liked that. I liked seeing that he had a plan, like his own side story he was doing that we didn't know anything about, so that it's not just like out of nowhere that he came in here, or like just pure luck, but also making the Lord Ruler seem even scarier and more invincible, because that's now two plans that completely failed.
Yeah, so now the Lord Ruler is angry and he begins pushing on Vin with extreme power. and he is able to somehow push against the metals that are in her stomach. He takes off his shirt, and he has bracers penetrating his arms. And Vin tries to run away and grab Marsh, but Lord Ruler is much too fast and easily stops her. And Lord Ruler once again pushes against her, and like her earring gets ripped out, and he's pushing against the metal inside her, and she winds up breaking her leg. Stuff we've been told, like metal piercing a body or inside you, nobody can push against it, but then Lord Ruler does it.
Always my favorite when somebody breaks the established rules to show their dominance.
They're cheating.
Not cheating. You didn't even know what the game was.
Just that, the body doesn't prevent it. It just is such a strong block that most anybody would not be able to get past it.
Can you remind us of that rule again? Like, if it's in their body, it
it's just
cannot
what
be
Joe
moved?
said.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
just
much
what he said. It's just too hard to get through. Like, for the power.
Even if it was an earring?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
in the body.
Yeah, the earring pierced was in her body because, it went through the ear. So that, that's supposed to not be. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's.
I see.
Pretty much for any normal Mistborn or Misting or anybody, they can't push against it. So they just figured, that just makes it impossible. But Lord Ruler is just so strong that he's able to get past this kind of like a wall. It's like it blocks most magnetism, but if it's powerful enough, it can get past it. That sort of thing.
I see.
So that's why, he's able to rip the earring out and push against her metal. And then, Vin's struggling, trying to push against him and burn her pewter, and her metal is beginning to run out. And Lord Ruler says that he is a god, and that God cannot be killed or overthrown. And Vin's thinking that he is just so different from the humble man of the journal. And the Lord Ruler, he goes over to Marsh and picks him up and says that he had made him superior to other men. He had made him dominant. And this makes Vin snap up when she hears the word dominant. She burns the 11th metal again and looks at the second Lord Ruler, and she sees, what he's wearing and stuff, and thinks about the word dominant being used in the journal, and she's able to realize who he actually is. So then she calls him Rashik, which startles the Lord Ruler for a second.
Saw it coming.
She said he killed the hero and took his place and took the power for himself. That's why the logbook had ended. And Lord Ruler says that she knows nothing and pushes on her with an impossible. And Vin thinks about how it doesn't really matter if she knows that he is Rashik. He's a terraceman, a ferrochemist. Then she looks at the armbands again and realizes that they are metal mines that he has been using. So she tries to pull with all her might at the armbands. She flares her pewter, she flares her steel, but it doesn't help. And she's being pushed on so hard by him that she is no longer breathing. And she knows that she is about to die. And then she draws upon the mist. And she sees 2 new lines appear to the armband. She pulls on them with a strength that she never knew she had before. She thinks he killed Kelsier, and she rips the armbands off the Lord Ruler. The Lord Ruler screams in pain and drops Marsh. He rushes for the bands, but Vin pushes them out of the window and into the city. And the Lord Ruler begins aging before her eyes, and he walks towards the window before collapsing.
Like when she's like, is it that easy? Is that all it is? And then tries it. It was really interesting to see that perspective. It's been how many years, of this guy?
And then Sazed comes in and he gives Vin some metal and she burns pewter. So that helps her and she's able to. And Sazed goes over to the Lord Ruler and he says he isn't dead. Vin has Sazed helps her up and he gives her a wooden spear to walk with. The 2 of them, along with Marsh, who has gotten up, walk over to the Lord Ruler. Sazed tells Lord Ruler that people are cheering for their new leader and not for him. They had never cheered for him.
It was creepy when he's like, "What is that?" Pointing to the little shriveled body of the Lord Ruler. Like, yeah, it's Lord Ruler. Not looking his best right now.
And then Marsh tells him that he has killed all the other Inquisitors in the city. And since the Obligators had overseen the change of leadership in the ministry, that now makes Marsh the head of the ministry. And then the Lord Ruler has his final words. He says, "You don't understand. You don't know what I do for mankind. I was your god, even if you couldn't see it. By killing me, you have doomed yourselves." And then Vin's response, she tells Lord Ruler, "I bring a message from a friend of ours. He wants you to know that he's not dead. He can't be killed. He is hope. and then Vin stabs the spear in Ruler's heart. And that's the end of that chapter.
And the end of the book. Okay.
Well, there's the epilogue. Epilogue's still part of the book.
Yeah, but the end of the book.
So, anything with this whole big epic final showdown you two wanted to go over?
I was surprised and glad to finish off the Lord Ruler here, because I didn't think we were gonna. Once he showed up at the execution and killed Kelsier, I thought they were going to be setting him up as like a multi-book villain, which, as much as I was interested in the guy, kind of bummed me out because, they've implied so much stuff about this deepness and stuff. I wanted to see that. So when instead they do kill him off, I was interested in that. And when he says his, words at the end, I was very excited for that, of course, because that goes with what I've thought from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Which, isn't like Sheta's theory. I wouldn't call it a theory as much as just a knowledge of how a story would tend to go to be interesting,
I count it. Thought it was very good.
No, to me, a theory has to be more specific,
Yeah.
Because then you could just be like, oh, I bet they're going to fight him at the end, and that would be a theory,
Yep, and then
I didn't expect him to do that too. I was
To do
very
what?
surprised. I didn't expect them to kill him either. I was very surprised.
Well, that was the thing too. Once I kind of said before, but once they had this whole subplot about, because we had no idea Marsh was an Inquisitor, so this whole subplot about them taking charge this late in the book, I was like, where the fuck is this going? This can't be, because this would be a huge waste of time if they're just gonna beat the Lord Inquisitor. So I was starting to think it was gonna end on like a Empire Strike Back kind of ending of like, oh, she's been taken, what do we do? We've had a small victory, but the Empire is still strong, kind of ending thing.
Yeah. Yep. Didn't expect it to be here already. This is the kind of thing I expect for like the final book or something. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, that'd be so boring, because you'd see it coming the whole time. You'd be like, well, they'll win eventually,
Mm-hmm. I think this is what I've said this about the last book too, but I think this feels like a very new, like a modern fantasy story, like playing with the stuff that we know already,
Yeah, all the things you expect, right? Yeah.
Because we've read books where that does happen, that is the book, and we're like, it was great, but like now we have that already. So these are new modern stories and ideas that make it
like
really
in
exciting.
Something like Lord of the Rings, it's not about beating the bad guy, it's about finishing the
that's
journey.
what I'm thinking.
So that works for 3 books, like it works quite well,
Mm-hmm.
But when it's just beating the bad guy, that
Yeah.
Or like things like Harry Potter, it's not about beating the bad guy, it's the whole plan to try to overcome him and stuff, so I think most talented writers would know what an audience has the patience to wait multiple books for, and what they do not.
Yeah, this is a different.
Plus, one other thing I
story.
throw out there with is, well, we know that he already had like a trilogy already written and stuff. For a lot of people, that are just new fans who, he only had 1 book out before this that they wouldn't know.
Oh, was it not called like Book 1 or anything?
Because it was just called like Mistborn: The Final Empire. So I don't know
if it's that, then that is different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if the first printings would say that it was like the first book of a trilogy or not.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, there's so many trilogies we can go see it. Like the first book of it just feels like it could just be a standalone book. Like
I just for some reason assumed that it said like the first book in the Mistborn. But yeah, if it didn't say that, then yeah, you'd have no way of thinking that way. That would be very exciting to end this way, though, where you've got so much stuff left, and you're like, oh, does this get to keep going? Sweet,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, like I said, I don't know what it was when it first came out, so very well could have been advertised or just known that there were 2 more coming. Because they're already written in the second like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I like about it is, because you had the reveal that Lord Ruler was actually Rashik, like Sheta had predicted a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But like, this book, there's so much throughout this entire book that if you reread it, it's just like, it's painfully obvious. Like the whole Rashik being Rashik being the Lord Ruler, there's so many hints throughout the story. Like, that the palace, Kredik Shaw, is Terrace for Hill of a Thousand Spires. It's like, why would it be a Terrace name if, a Klenian or whatnot? Sazed mentions, when he's translating the journal, it's like a dead language like Klenia, and that their current language is more like a distant dialect of Terrace.
Well, that's always fun.
Yep, there's stuff like how the Lord Ruler, how he wears like all these stuff where first time through you just think it's just him showing, I don't need to worry about you, I'm so much more powerful. And then you go by, it's like, oh, those are his metal mines.
Yeah, that was really interesting to explain. Because people have talked about for so long, why does he do that? Is he just showing his power?
He's flexing.
So, it was interesting that he has all the rings on, to hide that he has the actual important ones on too, so you don't really think about it. Because if he just had only those on, somebody would have put it together at this point, I think. So I found that interesting.
And then there was
she's just like, is that it? Is that the mystery? I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah. That was fun.
And like another part was how, through all these like little epigraphs and like the journal, you hear that Rashik uses the term dominant. Like, we should be dominant. Throughout the book, the areas of the Empire are like the central dominance, the Western dominance.
Oh man, this guy's fucking crazy. Yeah. This guy's a fucking loser. Like, if he's held on to that this long, Jesus.
Yeah.
That made me feel
sucks.
Like he deserves this kind of unepic, or not unepic, but ending like this.
It is unepic from his perspective, Some girl just rushes in and randomly figures out his downfall, rips off his arms, and he just dies pathetically. From her perspective and our perspective, it's super epic. But from his, what kind of ending is that to an immortal life? You just die. Nothing,
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
You live for like hundreds of years. And
you just die because you basically got complacent enough to even do this, to fight somebody and say, oh, I'm so strong. If he would have just left, he would be alive, If he was just like killer and he just left, everything would be fine, Well, he did do that, but if he would have run away, he would still be alive, But he just figured nobody would be smart enough to figure what isn't even that good of a secret in the first place, But he's kept this stuff so secret, this information, he seems to figure nobody could ever figure it out,
And he's like kind of pushed down the people so long. He's like, who would even be a person enough to think about this stuff?
Yep.
Like, but it showed, it said several times that how tired he was. Like, he just seemed like pretty much done. So, like, to have someone come in.
Was that because he was tired, or was that because he was doing his regeneration thing? Or was it both?
I thought it was, even when he was young again, he looked like tired.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't really just there. That's what I thought.
Wow.
All right. So we'll go on to the epilogue and our final epigraph of this book. Oddly, on occasion, I sense a peacefulness within. You would think that after all I have seen, all that I have suffered, my soul would be a twisted jumble of stress, confusion, and melancholy. Often, it's just that. But then, there is the peace. I feel it sometimes, as I do now, staring out over the frozen cliffs and glass mountains in the still of the morning, watching a sunrise that is so majestic that I know that none shall ever be its match. There are prophecies. If there is a hero of ages, my mind whispers that there must be something directing my path. Something is watching. Something cares. These peaceful whispers tell me a truth I wish very much to believe. If I fail, another shall come to finish my work.
Oh, it was nice. That's nice.
No, it's nice, but does that mean he failed? That's the question,
Yeah.
Well, does that mean that the thing that he was trying to stop, whatever it is that we don't know about what Rashik did, What do you mean we know? How do we know? We have no idea what happened when they faced whatever it was.
He failed because he was killed, is what I thought. Like, he failed because the Lord Ruler won, and he did his version of that,
Yeah, it could be, but the thing he went and faced, he could have defeated it, I'm questioning when he was betrayed. Did he stop the thing and then Rashik showed up and stole the power, Or did he was about to stop the thing, then Rashik stole the power and then made a deal with it or something, you know. I wonder. That's all.
Just from what Rashik says about how you've doomed yourself, like, I think that says it, that they didn't defeat it. He must have been just keeping it at bay or placated and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But is it something that can be defeated or is it something that can't? I've just got a lot of curiosities about all that.
The part I like is just even if I fail as the hero, like, there's gonna be more heroes. So that was the hopeful part that I liked.
Yeah, but it makes me wonder if he failed or he succeeded and then was betrayed. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
And the other thing we know is that, because he had said in like past epigraphs that he, that the power, because they're going to go into the Well of Ascension, and the power he cannot keep it for himself because he knows what will happen if he does.
I see.
Well, and I know part of what Brandon Sanderson's idea was with this book, and he even kind of says it on the back of the book, like the description is, Brandon Sanderson wanted to do a book where it's like like a Lord of the Rings, but what happens if at the end it's not like that Frodo loses, but like what if Frodo just decides to keep the ring for himself? So he wanted to have like something where you have a hero that's hero goes through the whole hero's journey, that stuff, and at the end he just fails, and then we have like 1,000 years later what the world's having to deal with because of that. That's kind of what his idea was for like the backstory of the book. Because even like the back of the book says, once a hero rose to save the world, he failed.
I mean, that part is really scary in Lord of the Rings when Frodo's just like, he does keep it. He does have that doubt.
That's why you got to keep a golem around.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that literally nobody could throw the ring in.
Mm-hmm.
That's something where even if like Sam would have picked it up, Sam could not have thrown the ring in. It's like the magic of the ring makes it so that nobody could actually throw it in and destroy it. That's why you needed something that's why you needed something like Gollum or somebody to. In the book, Gollum accidentally just trips into the Mount Doom, or in the movie he gets thrown off. The ring is just.
Well, isn't he pulling on somebody and then he loses his grip? Isn't that how it is in the movie? I don't remember exactly.
In the movie, like, he takes the ring from Frodo, then Frodo and him are fighting, and they both go over the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I remember it, yeah.
Yeah. In the book, Gollum just takes the ring, then he's jumping up in joy, so happy that he doesn't notice he accidentally jumps off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also not a Lord of the Rings plot. All right. So it's later in that same day, and Vin, Marsh, and Sazed are sitting on a roof. And they discuss how the Lord Ruler was both an Allomancer and a Feruchemist. And he was able to store his youth with Feruchemy powers, and then burn it with Allomancy in order to use it tenfold, which pretty much made him immortal. And this is why he hunted out the Keepers and had breeding programs for the Terrace. If someone else had somehow been able to be born with both Allomancy and Feruchemy powers, then they could have been able to rival the Lord Ruler. Then Vin asks Sazed if that is where the Lord Ruler got his power, then what happened at the Well of Ascension? What was the power that was supposed to have been found there? And why was he so much more powerful with Allomancy than others? And Marsh speculates that maybe the power he found was Allomancy, since it wasn't mentioned in those journals before the Ascension. Vin thinks about how she should have... then Vin also thinks about how she had drawn on power from the mists, but she has not been able to replicate this. Next, Marsh talks a little bit about how he has 11 spikes in his body. 2 in his head, 8 in his chest, and then 1 in the back, holding it all together. And that you can kill an Inquisitor by separating the top 2 from the rest of the body. And so that's why Kelsey was able to kill it. And also pulling that 1 in the back, so that kind of separates it, so then that also kills it. And that there were several bodies, and when they had thought they had found Marsh's body, there were actually several bodies there, because the creation of an Inquisitor is messy.
That was funny. I was like, Jesus. They're not talking about it, dear. It's pretty fucked up.
Ooh, I have my theories later about that.
All right, and then next they talk about the Kandra that had used Kelsier's body. And Sazed mentions that Kandra are related to mist wraiths and tend to remain unseen. And that for a Kandra to impersonate somebody, they must devour their flesh and absorb their bones.
Oh, God. Imagining that happening to Kelsier was horrific. I did not enjoy that.
No, I don't like that.
I was like, dear God, he ate him.
See, yeah. I said that would happen too. They eat you. It's not that crazy.
And Kelsier had his contract with the Khandra, which I'll say that his name was said one time back in chapter 5. Back there, Kelsier was telling Dox that he used up the last of his ATM to make a contract with Orseer.
Mm-hmm.
So just to make it easier, I'm just going to call him Orseer here. So yeah, Kelsier had his contract with Orseer transferred over to Vin, so now she is his master. She doesn't want it because he ate Kelsier. So then Marsh says that he's going to go meet with the new king, Elend. So pretty much in the past few hours, Elend has risen up, and taken over as king because he's able to, and he plans to use his political theories to make a better government. I guess earlier you had the Skaa showing up and they were fighting against armies, but Elend had given some big speech that managed to stop them. And
that the writer didn't want to write down, but trust me, it was really, really good. I love when Sazed says, "I wish I could have been there and remembered it," but it must have been really good. I was laughed so hard at that part.
Could you relate as a writer? Is that why?
It's just so funny to just say that and be like, well, not only do I not have it, but there's no time for it. Just trust me, it was really good.
It was so good. He is now king, so that's all you need to know. Like,
yeah. Oh, I laughed so hard at that part.
Well, actually, I think Brandon was saying that he didn't want it to overshadow like the Lord Ruler being defeated and stuff. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was no time for it, If he would have put that in, it would have been gratuitous. The book is over. We don't need that speech. So that's why I just thought it was so funny to say, to not have Sazed remember it and be like, oh, he said this, this, and this. It was very good,
And yeah, Marsh is going to go talk to him because he's like the new leader of the ministry and stuff.
Yeah, they really got their ducks in a row.
Yeah, it said Kelsier set him up to be the political heads in this, and this, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he planned on Marsh becoming the head of the ministry.
No,
that was
not that one, of course.
All right, and then they also discussed how the Lord Ruler's treasury is empty and that there was no ATM there.
That is a very creepy thing, especially when they say they don't know if somebody else took it. I'm like, Jesus Christ!
I know who took it.
You know who took it? You think it was Ellen's dad?
Nope.
No.
I'll say later.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then Vin worries about the Lord Ruler's last words and asks what the deepness was. Sazed says the legend stated that if the deepness hadn't been stopped then the world would have been destroyed. And Vin thinks about how the Lord Ruler's last words were not that you don't know what I did for the world, but you don't know what I do for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then we jump forward a little bit in time. It's that night, and Vin is sitting on the top of Keep Venture watching Elend. She wants to go to him, but she doesn't really know who she is. She doesn't know if she's Vin or Valette or even either of them. She feels like she doesn't deserve Elend, and she begins to leave. As she is leaving, she thinks of Rin and that he didn't betray her. He had died protecting her. Then Vin hears Rin's voice telling her to go back. So Vin goes back and drops down to Elend. She embraces him and thinks that this is all she ever really wanted.
Oh.
And that's the end of the Final Empire.
Oh.
Else from this epilogue you want to go over?
There was a lot of technical stuff about how the powers worked for the Lord.
Yeah, but I liked how in the end it's just like, I guess I don't really know. It's our best guess.
Yeah.
Implying that since we know this is a trilogy, that we've got a lot more interesting stuff to learn and see.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I think what makes Vin like the Lord Ruler. I think that's probably the most interesting one to me.
Yes. Which I will share my theories later if we're doing.
You are so cocky now, Sheta.
Yeah. Well, facts.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at the end of this, so why not just start giving your theories now?
Okay. Sure. Well, it's just that the theory for the Lord Ruler was that he is a terraceman who found Alamancy, so I think that Vin probably has some terrace blood in her, and that maybe...
Yeah, but when she tried to drink the thing that Sazed had, it didn't work.
Because that was Sazed's thing. not hers.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot that's how it is. Yeah. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And then to back this up, I think her mother must have had some powers because she saw Vin as a queen, which we know
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one,
is
Sheta.
some kind of effect from maybe she was wearing gold or something,
Mm-hmm.
or
That's an
something of
interesting
the
one.
11th metal. So I don't think she was crazy. I think she had some kind of powers that she didn't know
Well,
about. Maybe she
could
was
be
crazy
both.
still. Yeah.
Yeah.
But something. She has a special thing in her. And with that, I think the Lord Ruler has been messing with he seems very attached to his Inquisitors, like their little pets or like his little children almost. Like to
No
me, my
way.
terrorist yeah,
He
no, to
didn't.
me,
It
my
wasn't that
Inquisitors.
way.
Well,
Because he
like
was like,
not.
you know how hard those are to make? He didn't care at
I didn't
all.
think he loved them. I thought he was like he made them though, you know. So they they have a power too. I think that, well, of course, I think they have some of his powers. His Terraceman tech in them is what I'm saying. With their
Mm.
screws and stuff, how they're able to heal very fast. They have some Terraceman tech in them for sure. He somehow made it so that, oh, he Frankenstein some Terraceman parts into the Inquisitors to make it so that they could also use that power. So that's my theory. I think we're going to learn a lot more about Inquisitors, and
Oh,
well, I hope we
yeah,
do.
sure. We have to, because they never gave us any details on that stuff.
Yeah, now that we have one on our team, we can learn more.
Mm-hmm.
I guess all you know is that they're messy to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's where
And
the
that they
Frankenstein part comes in.
have 11 spikes in them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I will ask you guys a question, see if you have an answer for it. How was Vin able to draw on the power from the mists?
Because of something we don't know about yet. That's my theory. Which is nice and simple.
She must be from some kind of bloodline that directly is related to her or something. Because that hint about the Lord Ruler discovering Allomancy, I think there's something like I think Allomancy has to do with mists is all I'm saying. So I think the mist might be a character or a power or something. Maybe it's the deepness.
Oh, it's got to be tied to it, because we know that things were nice before, nice and sunny and stuff.
Yeah, maybe it did destroy the world, and the mist is what destroyed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't know what happened,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe being Mistborn has more powers in it than they've been realizing. Maybe they're not really
Mhm.
tapping into it the way they're supposed to be, or the way
Yeah,
they
that
could.
too. Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like no one really knows like what they've just kind of been experimenting and messing with it, and like the little rules that they figured out with it,
Mhm.
might just be
Yeah.
something of like that they had to figure out. They don't know all the mysteries of it yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And also, it seems like it's rare enough, too, that a lot of our characters, they wouldn't have any real knowledge. Maybe some of the nobles have a little more information, have kind of played with it a bit more, but yeah.
I think that's I think that's one of the themes, which is like knowledge and information being hidden or like secret
Mm-hmm.
from people. Because just that the keepers are the only people that keep track of that stuff, and they don't have that info, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
No, I agree with all of that.
Any other theories you guys want to go over from these last couple chapters?
Well, I theorize that what it is that the Lord Ruler, when they went in and did whatever, he whatever the deepness is, he either bargained with it or he took it into himself, and that was where his immense power comes from. And now that he's dead, it's going to go out through the mists in some way and do something unfathomably horrible. That's where I see things going.
For me, oh, go ahead.
Or, of course, that his immense will was holding something back all this time,
I thought that the Lord Ruler has been keeping the deepness like placated like a little pet by feeding him atium. And now that he's not there to do it, he will get mad and then come out.
It could be that too.
And that's where the atium went. The deepness took it. Or he ate it.
Oh, you think the deepness ate all the ATM?
Yep.
Oh God, Sheta. That's scary.
And Kelsier just destroyed the rest of it.
Oh yeah, he destroyed his food. He's gonna be pissed.
You know, an ATM shortage actually has to be a plot point in the next book because Kelsier did destroy it and it's missing. So either somebody's going to have a monopoly on it who's very dangerous, who's not tied to the deepness, you know, and we have to deal with that for a bit. Or it's what you're saying and it's some kind of bigger, scarier thing. But it has to be a plot point now that I think about it.
Yeah, I think Strath Venture will know that secret. That's why he's still around. I think he's going to be the only one that knows, like, oh, you guys messed up now. You know, maybe not the whole story, but that the ATM's important in a different way to the Lord Ruler, or that it was, you know. So, because he seemed a little like, because he was also, it is also the most powerful house. So, I think he might know some things about that.
I wonder. I don't think
maybe
he's going to be that big of a deal, personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
He could be, but I don't know.
He's still out there, though, so that's why. Maybe he even is the one who took it and, like, made a deal with the deepness. Like, sorry, this is going to be your last meal. Just spare me. Like,
I think it's going to be as simple as he's leaving and he's going to rally noble houses to try to take these guys out, you know, for his own power. And he's, you know, going to be a father-son war thing going on.
Really? You think that highly of him? I think he's like a...
How highly is it to go out and just say, and just have your armies do stuff? That's not high at all.
I thought he's like a coward. He's just going to run off and try to survive. Like, I think he knows something is... I think he knows his place. Like, I don't have any place in this. Like, I'm just going to find a hole somewhere and hide and
I think his ego's going to be too big for that. He's clearly a control freak, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be in a hole. He's going to be in his, like, second castle or something. But
yeah.
All right. And anything else you two just want to go over about your thoughts and stuff about this last part of this book?
Usually I don't speak negatively about things because I don't. But I feel like we needed more setup for the frickin' Marsh thing. That, to me, I know there was setup for it, but at the same time, for such an important thing with such a major character, I felt like it just needed a teensy-weensy bit more foreshadowing, personally. Where, you know, I know there's things where you're like, oh, yeah, but I think it needed a little more. That is my one and only little, I would even call it just a nitpick about the end here. But usually I'm very reluctant to say such things, but yeah, just personally for me and what I like out of books.
I feel that because that just, like, if that didn't happen, Vin would not have succeeded at all.
That's
he killed
the reason why, because it was
the
so plot
Inquisitors.
important.
Yeah.
I will say that there, you know, not exactly that part. There was the stuff about him talking about how he was being watched and stuff by the Inquisitors.
No, it's all there.
Yeah.
I get that. I just think it needed more, something a teensy-weensy more explicit that you could do that wouldn't give it away. Kind of like when Kelsier dies, you know, and that's his plan. This was his plan. There's enough foreshadowing for that I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. I completely believe that for such an important thing when the rebellion comes out, you know. I just feel for this one, it needed one teensy-bincy bit more of that, you know. Even if it was just, I don't know what that would be without giving it away, because I understand it's very important to not give it away, because it needs to be a big holy shit moment, you know. But I wouldn't even call it a complaint, just a nitpick. Or personal preference even, I would call it, maybe. Yeah, I think that's a better word.
I guess I have, well, I'll save that for the wrap-up, sorry. You can take that out.
Okay. Well, then I guess what we'll do now is we will move on to our characters and quotes of the week. So we'll start off with the characters.
My character of the week is Sazed, because he got to do a badass thing at the end, and because he's been my favorite character for most of this, so I really liked getting to see him do that superpower stuff that he had talked about earlier. and getting to come in and save the day for Vin.
Yeah, I like that too. Since we don't have Kelsier anymore, I like Sazed stepping in to kind of be like fill that hole a little bit for me.
And was it him who said the line about they never cheered for you, or was that somebody else? I forgot.
That was him. Yep.
That was
So
Sazed.
he also got that badass line at the end.
My favorite in this last part is probably Vin for just being a badass, and like when she just like grabbed all this gear and was like, "I'm gonna go fucking kill the Lord Ruler." Like, all, just like, it's like, "What are you doing, Vin?" He's like, "Yep, just grabbing some stuff. I'm gonna like jury rig it together and go storm the castle by myself." Like,
I really appreciated how she was like what you're saying. The Lord Ruler has to die, or we have nothing here. Because I did agree with her.
Yeah, like she's like when she's read the note from Kelsier and was like, it's up to me. Like, I have to be the hero. I have to go do that now that Kelsier's really gone." And then she really like stepped up and like thought really hard about how she was gonna do it. And she went and did it, and she did do it. So yeah, I think that's badass.
Yeah, not only that, but then you have also later with Ellen. It's like, all right, well, I failed once already, but I have to go kill God.
Yeah. Third time's a charm. But
Third time's the charm.
I also really like that she went against her nature and like habits and went back to Ellen and hugged him. Like she was scared and she was like sad and stuff. And I thought, yeah, she did learn a lesson from all of this, and she went to him, and now she can be happy and have somebody. I was really proud of her for doing that too.
For my character, I'm going to have to go with Vin as well. I mean, come on. She killed the Lord Ruler. Badass. She fought, got fucked up, still kept fighting, and all that. And
I also like... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and same thing. She went against her, like, nature, like, going back to help Sazed. Especially since, last week's episode we were talking, like, as Kelsier, sees them, he's going to go, and Vin's like, no, you can't. You have to run. It's like, no, I have to go save my friends. Vin does the same exact thing here. She realizes, no, I have to save my friends. And she goes back for Sazed.
She's really come into being herself, too. I thought it was cool when she jumped, threw the coin down, and then landed all gracefully with her good foot, her good leg. Like, she's just really come into being, like, comfortable with being a Mistborn and who she is. Like, she was always struggling with figuring out who she was and stuff throughout the book. So I think she is finding it now.
All right, then we'll move on to the quotes.
I want to go first because I think you're going to pick it, Justin.
I've got a shitty backup quote if I do.
I also have a backup. Not as shitty, but... All right. This is kind of said in the recap, but it is about Vin. It was when Vin, in the wake of Kelsier being killed and her losing faith. And so Vin says, "You sound like you still believe in him." Vin turned and walked to the edge of the flat-top roof, staring out over the quiet, shadowy city. "I do, mistress," Sazed said. "How? How can you?" Sazed shook his head, walking over to stand beside her. "Belief isn't simply a thing for fair times and bright days, I think. What is belief? What is faith if you don't continue in it after failure? Anyone can believe in someone or something. That always succeeds, mistress. But failure, now that is hard to believe in, certainly and truly. Difficult enough to have value, I think." Vin shook her head. "Kelsier doesn't deserve it." "You don't mean that, mistress," Sazed said calmly. "You're angry because of what happened. You hurt." I really like that part because that just says a lot about Sazed, how he really is a man of faith and religion. Like, he does study it and what it truly means. It was just a good quote.
Yeah, he really thinks about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like what it's for, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because that is, yeah, that's good, Justin. That's exactly right. It is for these times. it is for when you don't know
Like I said
and
in
you
the
feel
last book,
bad,
I
you
can
know.
tell Brandon Sanderson is very interested in religion and what it does for people. Not about the whether it's true or not, but what its purpose is and what it gives people. I think it's really interesting that all of his, or not all, I've read 2 books, but that both have the concept of religion as a big part of it, and that it's not this is doctrine, but this is a
It's about
human thing, you know?
the purpose of
Mhm.
religion to people,
Yeah, yeah,
to a society, to
hmm
humans.
yeah. All right, well, my quote is on a very similar nature. It is, Vin says, "You would gather stories about Kelsier?" "Certainly," Sazin said. "I collect all religions." Vin replies, "This is no religion we're talking about, Sazid. This is Kelsier." "I disagree. He is certainly a religious figure to the skaa." "But we knew him," replies Vin. "He was no prophet or god. He was just a man." "So many of them are, I think," Sazin says quietly. I like that for basically the things I was just saying, you know? These things inspire people, they're human. Where do faiths and religions come from? It's usually just stories and things that happen that affect people in a way that's a lot more, that's just very big to them, if for lack of a better
Relatable?
word.
Yeah. Relatable and resonates with people so much that
Hmm.
and inspiring to them enough that
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
want to have it.
Yep.
All right, I'll go to mine. Kind of like in the past, mine is not that insightful, just actiony. She flared the iron. Blue lines appeared, pointing to the Lord Ruler's rings and bracelets. All of them but the ones on his upper arms, piercing his skin. Finn stoked her iron, concentrating, pushing it as hard as she could. She kept her pewter flared, struggling to keep from being crushed, but she could feel that she was no longer breathing. The force pushing against her was too strong. She couldn't get her chest to go up and down. Mist spun around her, dancing because of her allomancy. She was dying. She knew it. She could barely feel the pain anymore. She was being crushed, suffocated. She drew upon the mists. 2 new lines appeared. She screamed, pulling with a strength she had never known before. She flared her iron higher and higher, Lord Ruler's own push giving her the leverage she needed to pull against his bracelets. Anger, desperation, agony filled within her, and the pull became her only focus. Her pewter ran out. He killed Kelsier. The bracelets ripped free. The Lord Ruler cried out in pain, a faint, distant sound to Vin's ears. The weight suddenly released her, and she dropped to the floor, gasping, her vision swimming. The bloody bracelets hit the ground, releasing from her grip, skating across the marble to land before her. She looked up, using tin to clear her vision. Like I said, just awesome little action scene of her just ripping the bracers off the Lord Ruler's arms.
That was badass.
I like too. We didn't say, but he's like no, and he's trying to get them. She throws him into the city, like
Yeah.
like
He was very pathetic at the end, which was very, very fun and interesting.
All right. So I think that will bring us to the end of this book. So for next week, we're not going to be reading chapters because we'll be doing a wrap up of this book. So next week, we'll be wrapping up, going our thoughts of this book, doing the fan casting, and then also previewing the next book, The Well of Ascension. So once again, if people out there, if you have not picked up, if you don't have the next book, The Well of Ascension, go pick that up now if you are reading along with us. And then we'll just dive into plugs.
All right. If you want to see some cool art and crafts, you can follow me on my Instagram, Sheta_low. And then for cosplay and outfits and fashion things, my Instagram, Mermaid Machete. Find those. And that's it.
If you want your life changed for the better, follow Profanity Beaver on all social medias. I guarantee anything negative in your life will improve drastically.
All right. And if you want to us, you can we'll have information on Key, a most ancient letter, formerly known as Twitter. And that will be at Cosmerchron, COSMERECHRON. Go on there if you want to tell us what your Ken dolls are like. Or if you want to also, you can just tell us on the comments on this on YouTube. I think Spotify now is a way to comment on podcast episodes. Not 100% sure on that, but I've seen something say comments, so maybe you can.
You know, sometimes when I'm looking at a YouTube video, I'll look at the top comment because you can't see the downvotes easily now to see what people think about it. If somebody turns this on, oh, Mistborn, Final Empire, Final Chapter, and the first comment is, my Kendall was smooth. They're gonna leave immediately. Like, what the fuck? No, what?
Who's gonna
Oh,
leave
that sounds
because of
awesome.
a comment?
I will
That comment? You'd be like,
listen to
what
that.
the hell are these freaks talking about here?
Maybe they'll tag it to be like at this time we talk about the Kindles, that
No, they're just
it will
gonna
make sense.
they're just gonna
Well-
be disturbed.
Well,
Well,
maybe
but
those are.
our fans, our fans will like that.
Yeah, and the guy who stays like, oh, can't wait to hear about this. We don't want that guy.
Hey, we want
All right.
all you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or if you want to give more detail about the Ken dolls you had, you can send us a long form information. CosmicChronicles@gmail.com.
Dear God, no photos. Dear God, no photos, please.
What? Good.
Because it's
All
going to
right.
be a comparison photo, Sheta. That's why.
Oh, okay. I didn't think of that. But
This is the internet.
right, you should be wary in case.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And also, do the usual stuff. Rate us on wherever you listen to your podcast and leave us a review on there. And quite a while since I've been able to read what one of those reviews said. All right. Yeah, but so that'll be it for this week's episode. Be sure to come back next week and listen. That way we can get more stuff on the algorithm. And
Not because
everyone
it's
go
entertaining, but because we can get more stuff on the algorithm.
No, it'll be fun. We're doing our fan castings, and I'm super looking forward to it.
Yep. So sure do that, and everyone go out and have fun.
Toodles.
Bye.